In this last Epoch guide, I'm going to go over my Shadow Strike Spellblade boss build. This is specifically for killing bosses. Now, if you haven't used this class before or you're using it now, you'll probably find that it's quite difficult to build defenses on this and raw power at the same time. I'm not sure why, like every other meta build and every other build that dominates, they have really good defenses and stuff. And so this Spellblade, not this build specifically, but the class, is difficult to manage damage and defenses at the same time. You really need to build up a lot of ward on this class and all sorts of stuff. But that's not what this video is about. What I'm going to be showing you is my build for bosses, and this is specifically for mounting bosses. Okay, you can use it in monoliths, but I don't. It's not that good for monoliths. So let me tell you my thought process around this build. It does insane damage. We do over 1 million damage at the peak on the dummies, which you've probably seen at the start of this video. So our main ability is obviously going to be Shadow Strike, and then we have Flame Ward, Teleport, but I'll tell you how that all works in a second. So let's go over the gear. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that the mana, right? One of the biggest issues with this build is, or Spellblade in general, is the mana. But if you can keep your mana sustained for a longer period of time, you're going to do more damage because you don't have to go ahead and use your mana strike. So I've built this around trying to keep my mana up as fast as much as possible, just enough to kill the boss. So this is the first piece I have, just armor, dex, intelligence, and 6% neurotic resistance, and then 1 ward per for 3 seconds per 3% of uncapped resistance, which means that anything in the grey there, for every 3%, I get 1 ward per second. And by all means, none of this gear is perfect. This is a work in progress. There's actually a lot more I need to do, so it's not perfect right now. I've been using this up to 200 corruption. Past that, probably a little bit difficult to use. I need to build it up better. This here, I'm just rocking elemental damage, cold damage, and ward, and then some resistance. Now this is where this build gets really crazy. So this gives us critical strike multiplier, and then I've got attack speed on it, and then what it gives us is a chance to stack rings for 5 seconds when you crit on a melee attack up to 30 times. Each stack grants 5% critical strike multiplier and 10% increased fire damage, which doesn't really matter too much. This build is focused around quick get in there and critical strike multiplier damage. We want to get that up as much as we can. So that's why we use this particular sword. And this sword here, I'm using to get my melee critical strike up, cold damage, and armor on shred, which is important as well. If we go to here, my critical strike chance is 102. And then I have Shadow Strike, Intelligence, and Physical Resistance. Now this is where it gets to the point of this build. On here I have 32% increased mana regeneration and some dex. And then on here I have some cold damage, but I also have mana regeneration as well, because I want to keep my mana up as fast as long as possible. Sorry, even though it does go down fast, to kill the boss. And then this is just some melee attack speed, and then boots for some, more stats. And then this here, we get +1 to Shadow Strike, Dexterity. We also get mana regen on here. We get critical strike multiplier, and then we also get 2% cold penetration with Shadow Strike per stack of bleed on you. So this actually gives us bleed stacks, and with the more stacks we have, the more cold penetration we do on ourselves. So we have the bleed stacks on ourselves. We're getting bleed damage when using this build. Okay, so that's kind of this is the gear. The point is to keep mana up. Now my idols are not very good right now. I do need to change them for some mana ones, but it's mainly just resistances right now. So let's go ahead and look at the skills, and we'll go to the dummy, and I'll talk about the damage. So the skills, actually we'll go over the passives first. You can just, I'm not going to go through every single one. You can just pause the screen and look at the passives if you like. Now, what I would recommend you potentially do, which I haven't done yet with this build, is possibly take some of these nodes, like some of the, well actually I don't have to because I've already done it, and put some into like mana, which I've already done here, and then I've already done it here. So yeah, so I've pretty much already done it. But here you go, you can just pause the screen and see what I've done on these. Yeah, this is self-explanatory here. And then Sorcerer, just some ward mana and then mana again. You can pause the screen and have a look here. Here's the skills. We have, sorry, Shadow Strike. This is what I have set up for Shadow Strike. So you can have a look at this if you like, and just go through and do and kind of like match it. This is what I have for the, sorry, that's Shadow Strike, yeah, and then Mana Strike. You're not really going to be using Mana Strike with this boss build, but we just have it in case we need it. And then this here is the Flame Ward. You can pause the screen, have a look. This here is the Enchanted Weapon. You can have a look here. Now there is actually a boss node, I think, somewhere where you get more damage to bosses. I haven't done that. I can't remember where it is, but that would also work well on this build, obviously, or maybe it's in the passive tree, I can't remember. And then this is what I've done for Flame Ward. So we actually get some extra damages with this one. So you deal increased damage if you've teleported recently. So you want to teleport to the boss and then start doing damage. And then the stat buffs granted by having cast teleport recently lasts longer. So I have that on as well. And this is the rest here. But let's go to the dummy, and I actually want to explain to you kind of how this build works. I'll try to explain to you the best I can. Now I do want to say there's actually multiple ways to make this build even better, which I'm working on, but it's very expensive to get the gear that I need, and it hasn't dropped for me yet. So I will have another version of it, but let's just go over the damage and kind of explain to you everything here, right? So first of all, we're going to build up these stacks. You see the stacks at the bottom? These, it increases your melee strike multiplier. So we're increasing that. I'm not sure if it increases on, it might not increase on here, but we're increasing that multiplier with those stacks. And you see we have bleed. Every point of that we have on us, down the bottom here, we get 2% cold penetration. So we are constantly penetrating the armor or the resistance of the enemy, and the higher that is, the better. Okay? Now, watch the damage real quick. I'll try and do it when I have my thing on. You ready? Oh. So it goes up. Okay, I messed it up. My bad. So it goes up very, very quickly, and that's why we want as much speed as possible. So let's try that again. Once our Enchanted Weapon comes on, we should go to 1,000,000 damage, or very close there. We can probably get to 1,000,000, but that's the point of this build, is we're trying to get up to damage as fast as possible, and you'll see that the mana isn't going down as much as usual, see? So we can do this for quite, 1,000,000, there we go. So we can do this for quite a long time. You might be wondering, why is the damage going from half a million to 1,000,000? Because Enchanted Weapon, when that turns off, you lose half your damage, around about half your damage. But yeah, this build's kind of insane. There is, can you get to 1,000,000 again? We nearly got to 1,000,000. But yeah, there we go. Now, the thing with this build is that we can actually get to like 1.3 million, I think, but I need some more gear. But I will have a build on that. But let's just look at how long the mana lasts. Like a long time. And we can even get it to last longer. And so you can sit there and you can just thrash the bosses. Okay? Super easy to do. Now, what I will say is you see this like white thing here, where it's like the swords crossing over. When you have the enemy in that area, it's double the damage because it uses both swords. If you don't, it's less damage. You can see that. That makes sense. So it's more damage in the middle. It goes up quicker. On the edge of that, it goes up slower. The yellow numbers go up slower. So it needs to be in this white circle. All right, and that's kind of hard to do with the boss because you're up quite close to them. And then you also want to do your teleport, and that's going to give you more damage as well, a little bit more damage, but it might not have come on yet. Yeah, but there you go, guys. That's the build. This thing thrashes bosses. I might have some gameplay at the end. I don't know. I'm a bit tired and I have to find it, but yeah, there you go.